I want to talk to you about something today that's been bothering me, and it's not therapy, but this has been bothering me. Every AI show on the internet right now sounds the same. Jensen said this, Sam Altman did that, Elon Musk launched that other thing. $1 billion number, $1 trillion projection, and you're sitting there watching, as am I, feeling like the world's being built by people who don't even know who we are and don't care if we eat. So I'm not going to do that to you today, because here's the truth. Nobody on YouTube is saying out loud, the people making the biggest announcement in AI, I don't think they're one of us. I don't think they're worried about rent or where their next thing's going to come from, thing that they might need, like insurance. And they're probably not wondering if their kid's school is going to cut the sports program or the art program. They're probably not choosing between the electric bill and the prescription. But the technology that they are building, well, it's going to hit your kitchen table whether you're ready for it or not. So my job on this show is to make you not worship billionaires. My job is to translate what they're doing and what that means for all of us, for our family, businesses, survival. So let's get into it. I'm your host. Today we're going to talk about the biggest AI stories of the week and answer that one question: what does this actually mean for the rest of us? In the first story, Elon Musk just launched something called TERAFAB. It's a chip factory. They make chips. Not the eating kind, but the ones for the computers and such. SpaceX and Tesla are building their own semiconductor plant in Austin, Texas. Is there any other Texas? That's what I always say. Anyway, 2 nanometer chips for robots, self-driving cars, and AI satellites in orbit. Now, here is how every other show covers it. They're going to talk about the terawatts and recursive design loops and vertical integration. And my eyes and your eyes glaze over because none of that pays any of our bills. So I'll tell you what this actually means. So right now there's a global chip shortage. These microprocessors, microchips, can't get enough of them. And that affects everything from the price of your car to the wait time on a new laptop. So when the richest man on the planet decides he can't get enough chips from the companies that already manufacture them and builds his own factory, well, it tells you something. That tells you that the demand for AI compute is so massive that the existing supply chain can't keep up. And when demand outstrips supply, well, prices go up, right? We see it at the gas pump. For everything connected to a chip, which is 2026, and it has been everything. Your refrigerator, thermostat, kid's tablet, your car. The thing nobody is saying right now is that this AI arms race between billionaires is creating inflation pressure on the exact products regular folks like, well, us depend on. And nobody's holding them accountable for it because we're too busy being impressed by the rocket ships and all that fancy stuff. In the second story, NVIDIA just held their big annual conference called GTC. Been talking about this last few days. Jensen Huang, CEO, stood on stage for 2.5 hours and projected $1 trillion in AI chip sales by 2027. Where can I get me some of these chips? He told me. No. CIO in the audience, they need an OpenClaw strategy. OpenClaw is an open source tool that lets people run AI agents on their own computers. No subscription, no monthly fee, free. Here's what that means for you and for us. The first time in history of artificial intelligence, regular people can run powerful AI on a laptop without paying a corporation a dime. And that's genuinely good news. But here's the catch. You have to know that it exists, and you have to know how to use it. And right now, the people who know how to use it are engineers in San Francisco and teenagers in Shenzhen. Not a single mom in Bakersfield, not the retired teacher in Ohio, not the small business owner in Santa Clarita, who's still paying someone $500 a month to post on social media when an AI agent could, well, do it for free. Not the plumber who spends 3 hours every Sunday doing invoices by hand. Not the hairstylist who loses clients because she can't answer the phone while she's cutting hair. And not the veteran who started a landscaping company who can't actually afford a receptionist. These are the people AI was supposed to help. And they don't even know these tools exist because nobody is marketing free AI to people who need it the most. They're marketing $100 subscriptions to people who already have IT departments. The gap isn't about intelligence. The gap is about access to information. And here's exactly why this show exists. I try to close that gap because when Jensen says every company needs an OpenClaw strategy, he's talking to Fortune 500 CEOs. I'm talking to you. And your OpenClaw strategy might be as simple as running a free AI assistant on your laptop that answers customer questions while you sleep. It's not a $1 trillion play, but it's good enough for us. This is a Tuesday night setup that saves you about 10 hours a week. In the third story, this one matters more than the $1 billion combined, all of them. 55% of the companies that fired people or replaced them with AI are now regretting it. And let that sink in. More than half. They fired the humans. They brought in the bots, and the bots couldn't do the job. Not because the technology is bad. It's actually very good at specific tasks. Writes emails, generates reports. It gives you those it closes some tickets. But a job is not a list of tasks. A job is knowing that the client on the phone is going to go through a divorce, and that's why they're being difficult. The job is knowing that the last time you used that vendor, they delivered late and we almost lost the account. A job is knowing that the printer on the third floor jams, and when you tap it twice on the left side, it doesn't. That's called institutional knowledge, and it lives in people's heads, not in databases, not in documentation, and not in source files. It's the brains of the people who show up every day, and we figure it out, right? So when a company fires those people to save money on AI, they just don't lose employees. They lose the operating manual that had never been written down. And when the AI agent, as smart as it is, makes decisions that are technically correct and organizationally catastrophic, well, the developer's AI coding agent wiped 1.9 million rows of student data from a live database 2 weeks ago. Every action the agent took was correct, but it didn't know the difference between the test system and the real one, because that knowledge was in the engineer's head and the engineer was not in the loop. Here's what this means to you and us. If you're worried about AI taking your job, stop. Stop worrying about whether your boss understands that firing you is the most expensive mistake they'll make this year. And if you're a business owner, stop looking at AI as a replacement for people. Start looking at it as a power tool you hand to your best people so they can do twice the work in half the time. That's the play. It's not fewer humans, it's better equipped humans. And one more thing on this. The people getting laid off are not the ones at the top. It's never the ones at the top. It's the customer service representatives, the junior analysis, the admin assistants, the people who are already making the least. And then the executives go on LinkedIn and post about how they leverage AI to improve efficiency. Efficiency, they say. That's a nice word for firing people who are already struggling. Meanwhile, those same employees are spending thousands a month in AI tools for themselves. They call it token maxing. Token maxing. It's actually a thing. Leaderboards at Meta and OpenAI, where employees compete to see who can automate the most work using AI. Well, let me get this straight. The people building AI using it to make their six-figure jobs easier, and the people earning $30,000 a year getting wiped out by it. If that doesn't make you a little angry, well, you're probably not paying attention. Here's the fourth story. The war between OpenAI and Anthropic is reshaping who controls AI, and it matters to you more than you think. Let's be one of us for a second. OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, just declared an internal code red. I think the third time, maybe? Because Anthropic, the company behind Claude, is eating their lunch. 73% of companies buying AI tools for the first time are choosing Anthropic. OpenAI dropped from half the market to about 27%. Now, here's what nobody's telling you and why this matters. When one company dominates AI, they set the prices, right? They set the rules. They decide what you can and cannot do with their technology. Competition is the only thing keeping AI affordable and accessible for us regular people. Right now, the price of running an AI model is dropping fast because these companies are fighting each other for customers. And that fight is good for you. How many electric companies do we have? I think we have one. That doesn't help. It means the tools, though, you get cheaper and they get better every month. But if one wins and the other dies, prices are going to go up. Access is going to go down. And the people who get squeezed first are always the people with the least money. Always. So pay attention to this fight, not because you care about Sam Altman's stock price, because the outcome determines whether AI is a public utility or a luxury product. And right now, that answer is still being decided. Number 5. This one should make every parent and grandparent pay a little attention. AI is being deployed in health insurance decisions right now. Algorithms are deciding whether your claim gets approved or denied, whether your mother gets the surgery or gets a letter saying she's not medically necessary. saying it's not medically necessary. Washington State just passed a bill specifically addressing AI and health insurance. All states across the country are scrambling to write rules because the federal government hasn't. Here's the problem. These AI systems are trained on data. The data is biased towards denial. Mr. Incredible, case in point, that little insurance fellow, perfect, because every denied claim saves the insurance company money, and the AI learns the pattern. It learns that bias. It learns that denial is the default, and it gets faster and more efficient at saying no, faster than any human reviewer ever could. Plus, you don't have the emotional connection on that front either. So when someone tells you AI is going to revolutionize healthcare, ask them one question. Revolutionize it for who? Because right now, a lot of families, AI and healthcare means faster denials wrapped in a nicer user interface. Children and the elderly get hit the hardest. They always do because they can't fight back as effectively. They don't have the lawyers because they don't have the time. And when the system fails them, the penalties are a slap on the wrist compared to the profit, and that needs to change. Let me say something that might get me into trouble. And this is the big version of fraud that's going on back east and here in California. When fraud targets children and the elderly, the penalty should be triple minimum. People are talking about it as horrible. They're ripping off the government. They're stealing our tax money. Yes, but who? It's the children and the elderly who are being affected most. That crime in of itself should be worse than any other. If there's some wrapped around sports teams, ooh, who gives a crap? But elderly and children, that's where these systems are. That's where all that fraud had been occurring. Carry massive penalties. Horrible. Anyway. They're not stealing money, they're stealing it from people who can't afford to defend themselves, and they can't physically either. A healthy adult gets denied a claim, they can fight it, they can sell, they can escalate, they can hire somebody. A 7-year-old can't. One of these kids in a learning center where parents are working all day long, well, there's nobody in the learning center. A grandmother with dementia can in some kind of hospice. Oh, I'm sorry, they're not in there either. And the companies know that. They build their models knowing the most vulnerable people are to appeal. That's not a bug, that's a business plan. And when they get caught, the fine is a fraction of what they made. So they pay it, cost of doing business, they call it that. They keep running the same game, same algorithm, until we demand the penalty for AI-enabled fraud against the vulnerable carries real teeth. Nothing changes. Triple penalties, quadruple, oh my God. I can't go any further with that. Don't want to get in too much trouble. Mandatory disclosure, criminal liability for executives who deploy systems they know are biased. That's not radical, that's just basic decency, and it's not going to happen until regular people understand the technology well enough to hold people deploying it accountable. It's not a tech problem, it's a democracy problem. Here's number 6. Here's the one that sounds like science fiction, but it's real. You know science fiction? Yes. You know the Star Trek we go. So, a company used to grow new land in the Maldives. Maldives? Yeah, not by concrete, programming the ocean to deposit sand in specific locations. With over 90 feet of new beach in 6 months, another location they grew an entirely new island. And here's why I'm telling you this, because right now trillions of dollars in coastal real estate worldwide is priced on the assumption that land is scarce. But if technology can make new land, those prices shift. And when I say shift, I don't mean your beachfront property goes up. I mean the entire economic model of coastal real estate gets rewritten. For 27 years, I've sold real estate here in Santa Clarita Valley. And I'm telling you, for people who understand how technology reshapes property values, they're going to have some money. And the people who do not are going to wonder what happened. This isn't a threat, it's a heads up from someone who's been in the game long enough to see a wave before it hits. Here's number 7. Let me talk about something that ties all of this together. Every single one of these stories has a common thread. The people who understand AI are getting ahead. The people who do not are falling behind. And the gap is accelerating. Not because the technology is scary, but because people selling it, they're not translating it for us regular people. They're talking to each other in jargon and acronyms and billion-dollar numbers that mean nothing to somebody like me or potentially you that's trying to work 2 jobs and maybe a third, just trying to make ends. The media's not helping. They either tell you, well, AI is going to kill everyone, or they tell you it's a magic fairy dust that's going to solve everything. Just sprinkle a little bit of it around. Neither's true. The truth is somewhere in the middle. AI is a power tool like a table saw. In the right hands, it can build a house. In the wrong hands, it takes off a finger. At least for what we see, AI isn't something that goes out and does it by itself. Not yet. That's probably coming. And right now, nobody is teaching regular people how to hold it safely. That is this show. That's what I do. I'm not a Silicon is executive. I'm a former cop. I used to work corrections in New Mexico when I was 18. It's inside work, cages, not patrol, sworn LAPD, October 9th, 1990, 27 years in real estate. I've trained over 1,000 brokers and agents how to use AI in actual businesses. Every website I have, I built it. I code my own tools, one-man operation, and I'm competing with companies that have 50 employees because AI is the great equalizer. If you know how to use it, and I'm telling you, the version of AI that changes your life is not the one Elon Musk is building in a chip factory. It's not the one governments are spending billions on. It's the one sitting in your phone right now that you haven't opened up yet. It's the one that you're not running on your laptop, or could be tonight, answering the 3 customer questions you usually miss because you're at your kid's baseball game. That's the revolution. Not trillion-dollar satellites. $10 a month tools that give you your time back. So here's what I need from you. Stop watching AI news like it's a spectator sport. Start asking one question about every story you hear. What does this mean for me? Not what it means for Jensen or Sam or Elon, but for me, for my family, for my business, for my future, for my neighborhood. And if you can't answer that question, you come here, because I need to see one more thing. Neither political party is looking out for you on this. Not really. One side wants to deregulate everything so that tech companies can move faster. The other side wants to regulate everything so nobody can move at all. Neither one of them is asking the question that matters. How do we make sure the person working the night shift at the warehouse or stocking at the supermarket before you get there in the morning gets access to the same AI tools as the kid at Stanford? How do we make sure the grandmother in Palmdale can check whether her insurance denial was generated by an algorithm? How do we make sure that the small business owner in the valley can compete with the corporation that has a 50-person AI team? Nobody's asking those questions, so we have to ask them ourselves. And then we have to build the answers. We don't have to wait for them. We need to build them. And that's what I do every single day on this show and in my businesses. I use the same technology the billionaires use, and I hand it to you at a price you can afford, or free when I can. All right. You can check out Coded by Connor or ConnorWithHonor.com, HonorElevate.com. It's real AI for the rest of us, not the billionaires, us. All right. I'll see you tomorrow. This has been AI with Honor, the daily download. And everybody have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. We'll see you tomorrow. Be well.